Do you want to know everything about the new freight missions of Alpha 3.24? Tips and tricks and how to build your own freight empire? Then you are in the right place. Because one of the biggest features, especially in the field of gameplay, are the new freight missions of Alpha 3.24. And here, we can not only build reputation, so unlock better and bigger missions, but also, regardless of our own money use, you can transport freight objects from A to B. And that as a mission. And of course, the completely revised freight system plays one of the most important roles here. Because for the freight missions, we have to unload and load our freight manually, and of course, bring it to its destination safely. Therefore, we go step by step to the new freight missions. To get the new reputation-based freight missions, you have to be in the area of one of the main planets, and here you find the new tab on the contracts called Hauling. And as with all reputation-based missions, we also have to start with a beginner mission. And already beginner ships are also sufficient here, which bring a freight capacity of at least 8 SEU. Recommended is the Titan Avenger, for example. But after the completion of the introduction mission, various other missions are available, which sometimes require up to several hundred SEU of freight capacity. But don't worry at this point, because also new, there is the possibility to rent countless, even larger freighters directly in the game. This for a few days and thus be able to carry out your freight empire even without own self a freighter. For the different missions, we have different ranks. Here, for example, the rookie rank, so the beginning. And by the end, you will rise in reputation and thus switch to further and higher quality missions with more freight, but also with significantly higher rewards. But let's take a look at the beginner mission. For this, you usually have to go to one of the different space stations above a main planet and receive your freight. And this is where the freight elevators, which you can find directly in your hangar, come into play. And at this point a tip, park your ship as close as possible directly at the freight elevator. But an absolute prerequisite for loading the freight is a multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment. And don't worry, you can find this directly on a station at the different cargo decks directly for purchase. And equipped with it, we can go directly to the freight elevator terminal, which you can find directly there. And before we receive our mission freight, however, I would like to give you a hint. Because at the moment, ships mainly benefit from an external freight possibility, so with an external freight cargo grid, such as the Hull A or the Argo Raft, because they clearly benefit from the new mechanics. Because especially in ascending mission areas where you have to transport more freight, they are much more flexible and handy. Because here you can bring freight directly to the external cargo grid and do not have to carry different freight boxes on a ramp in a tedious ship. Therefore, we currently give a clear recommendation for this category of ships. But now to the first mission. In order to be able to load them, you first have to drive your freight elevator down to access your warehouse. To do this, we use the inconspicuous button in the lower left half. And thanks to the sort function, we can find our mission freight quite quickly, which is also named again extra. So if you have additional, for example, tin in our inventory, you will find the mission freight again extra. You can then either load it directly by drag and drop it, or with a selection and a button move to elevator in your freight elevator. Then we drive it back up. And with that, we are ready to load our freight into our ship. Whereby here, either our multi-tool with a tractor beam or the max lift tractor beam comes into question. And especially for freight pieces over 16 SEU, you definitely have to use the max lift tractor beam, which you can also buy on the different cargo decks. Because the multi-tool with tractor beam attachment is no longer suitable for this. To stow your freight, you either use the cargo grid, that is, the safe transport method in which the freight pieces are securely anchored, or you load the freight somehow else in your ship. But hear the warning that a loose freight can be quite damaging up to an explosion of your own ship. Therefore, we recommend basically, if possible, the use of your cargo grid. After loading, we then switch to the different mission facilities for unloading, where we usually have more than just one depot to carry on. And in addition, you will find, especially in the later area, then also missions that serve within space stations, so you don't have to land on planets. Or if you want to use mass freighters like a Hull C, also missions that are suitable for this. But especially the Hull C is a bit tricky at the date. And also as a little spoiler, there are also some completely new locations in connection with the new freight missions. The new freight missions can therefore not only be worth monetary and reputation based, so you see something new. To unload our mission freight again, we need our tractor-beam attachment on their multi-tool and the cargo lift again. In this case, here we parked much too far away from our cargo lift and have a longer unloading time here. If you park closer to the cargo lift, you save some work and time. And as we know, time is money. To load the mission freight in a cargo lift, we also have the option to select it again, but there are still some bug workarounds. Often it is shown to you that some objects could block the cargo lift. And for this, lift the cargo and move it slightly. That's usually enough. Otherwise, try to clear objects out of the way to be able to use your cargo lift without any problems. For our particular mission, we have to hand over 6 SEU of tin. And as usual, we have to load them into our cargo lift and only then drive down again. And here we get our contract order and the confirmation that we have loaded the right material into our cargo lift. With the confirmation, the freighter drives down and we have completed this mission step. And at this point note, at the time of the video there is still a bug, so that you can't display different cargo objects, so they won't show up. And all you can do for this is wait for another hotfix. But in our case, we go to the next delivery station to complete our first mission. And on the way, here's another tip that you should pay attention to: which cargo size and which SEU numbers you have in your own mission. That means which cargo pieces you have to hand over there. Otherwise, the mission could not be completed because you have handed over the wrong cargo pieces in a previous step. This leads us to another real challenge. Because, especially with larger cargo missions with more material, it is essential to know which cargo pieces you have in your cargo grid of the respective ship. So check our free PDF in our Discord for an overview of this. For example, in this mission we have to bring almost 100 SEU from A to B and have a ship with the Mercury Star Runner that would have significantly more cargo capacity. This means that we only have 8 SEU containers and the Mercury Star Runner supports more SEU, but 8 SEU containers only to a certain amount. So, in the upper area, which we could also use for our cargo grid, it is not available and we have to do some tricks and put a loose cargo to complete the mission. So, there is still a need for improvement on the new career options of the Cargo Empire. But, nevertheless, a long-awaited and really well-done expansion of the gameplay, if it works. But what is your opinion about the new cargo gameplay in the Cargo Empire and especially about the new cargo missions? Let us know. Feel free to write us in the comments in the Discord or visit us in the almost daily Twitch live streams. I wish you good luck and I say goodbye until next time, and as always, see you in the verse. And of course, thanks for watching.